We are approximately a week away from the kickoff of the 2018-2019 NFL season, and the discussion that we had leading into last year's football season focused mainly on concussions, concussion protocol, and on diminished TV ratings stemming from, I suppose, the whole protest and kneeling during the anthem. The script has been flipped. This year we are talking about legalized sports gaming, and I'm pleased to have on the phone, of course, someone who's an expert in that arena, Greg Wolf of thewolfline.com. Greg, welcome.
Great to talk with you, Coos. It's been a while.
It has, but the first person I thought of when I was asked to look at the upcoming NFL season and how it differs from last year, you're the first person I thought to call. And the reason is that if we are talking about legalized sports wagering, and I know you're probably getting frustrated, what is the term you prefer to use?
Well, we call it mainly quant sports trading. So it's sports trading, quantitative sports trading. I don't get upset with speculation. That's a broader term for that. But mainly we just go straight to the trading. I get extremely upset when I hear the antiquated, anachronistic terminology of the three bad ones for me are betting, gambling, and wagering. And the legislators just can't get it. And it's just really, you have to excuse me, you caught me right in the middle of a big, fat dip of chewing tobacco. So if you can hear me, I hope I'm.
This is all part of the Greg Wolf mystique.
Yeah, I'm from the South, albeit South Jersey, but what do you?
So talk to us a little bit about how this season differs from last season, and we'll delve into some of the concerns that maybe officials from the NFL have, and we'll talk about how the Wolf Line could prove to be a very useful tool for people as they deal with sports speculation. But like I said, a year ago, no one thought that this was even a possibility except for you.
Well, you can go back to our interviews and interviews that I've had with other people over not only the past year, but quite a while now. Not to sound arrogant, but all of my prophecies and predictions have come through in this regard to manifest themselves as the truth. And we have quite a bit of a way to go, which has recently been elucidated by Orrin Hatch out of Utah, and now Chuck Schumer today came out and said something about introducing a federal bill. I have to get to them to kind of coach them up a little bit on how this is going to go. As I've spoken with you previously, it's going to be, it's time for the grown-ups to take over and for the SEC or the CFTC or FINRA to get involved in the regulation federally via securities law from the 30s, and from the state level, that's under the purview of what's called the Uniform Securities Act. And, of course, these speculations and trades all pass the four-part Howey test from 1946 very easily. So that's just a matter of when they get it through their heads, if that's what the case is. I don't really want to get, although I have strong opinions on the fundamental changes in rules of the game, having played myself collegiately, but we won't get into that. We'll just get into the nuts and bolts of who owns the data, what the legalized landscape in by far the largest market in the world is going to do to consumption of their products, and who's going to get the money, and how that all should be regulated, from federal and state levels.
So is any one particular state better poised to capitalize on this? If you were someone who was interested in sports speculation, where would you want to be right now?
Well, obviously New Jersey is ground zero, not only for the country but for the world. Everybody from all different countries and other markets are trying to get a foothold here from the execution side. Of course, we are the only company in the world, the only technology in the world, patented globally. Of course, our technology, our analytics, our platforms, our products that purely concentrate on the quantitative analytics aspect of the market action and the market timing and the trading theory, quantitative analysis, behavioral economics, volatility, price, probability, all that in the application to these markets, and make them as simple to use as a coloring book, or for somebody that might be a neophyte, just a regular guy coming into a sports book. We again bring Wall Street, quote unquote, type analytics power to anyone as long as you can read a thermometer or a coloring book. So New Jersey is just coincidentally my home base and where the company is located centrally. But there's been a couple of major, there's a major story that comes out every day, but two major stories that came out recently were, one, the NASDAQ is going to be entering into the regulatory side of these new markets, meaning the sports speculation markets. So that's an immediate conflation of the two. The NASDAQ is extremely, exponentially more advanced in their whole regulatory systems and oversight than any of these other operators of execution side. So again, consistent with what I've been saying all along. Then the other big thing was Buffalo Wild Wings came out and said that they will then be offering in the future real money sports book trading speculation markets in their restaurants and bars. That validates the point that there needs to be no affiliation with a casino or a racetrack or anything else. The sports speculation markets are their own individual financial trading animal, and it has nothing to do with negative edge casino gambling. Zero.
And boy, did the casinos fight that tooth and nail, and I'm sure they still are.
Yeah, well, they know that they're behind the curve. Nobody wants to go into a negative edge casino gambling type atmosphere anymore. They want to have some type of analytical resource to basically go in and say, okay, we have a chance now, based upon our power of analysis, to make our speculations, hedge them quantitatively through, okay, this part of the relation, this is an overbought, oversold relationship here. This is a distressed asset, overly distressed asset that I want to buy or get long. This is a potential asset bubble that I want to short or bet against, quote unquote, or sell. And this is all nomenclature that is going to be very soon through our work and through my years of experience and application and just innovation in theory and practical application, that will be common vernacular. And that's really what the end game is. And then the final end game, well, maybe not even the final end game. I have plenty of things in the cooker on the back burner, but front burner was eventually all online brokerage will, in the drop-down, feature sports as any other asset class, whether it be foreign exchange or stocks or futures or commodities or metals or anything else, as I've said many times on your show.
And I'll admit, it took even me a while to grasp what it was you were talking about, and then all of a sudden the repeal of PASPA helped clear it up, put it that way, Greg.
Well, as I said, I think the last time we spoke, the leagues are going to be making out.
Good. I'm glad you're bringing that up, because there's two bullet points that I want to address before I let you go, and that is, A, it seems almost disingenuous that for instance, the NFL, which again kicks off a week from tomorrow in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's the Falcons and the Eagles. I think it's in Philadelphia.
So a week from now, and the big concern that Goodell is talking about is the integrity of the game being compromised. And you have assured our listeners that is not a legitimate concern.
Well, it just came out today that one of their players, Michael Kendricks, just now, more fodder for my argument, pled guilty to very egregious acts of insider trading in the stock market. He was getting tips from his investment firm, and he was giving them money in kickbacks and Eagles tickets to make millions of dollars on non-public information. So if that can happen on that side, then now we're dealing in this new sports market, this new financial market, which is a sports speculation market. It obviously can go the other way, where the players can use their non-public information for speculators or traders or whatever you want to call them, people that are in the marketplace, to also break SEC Rule 10b5-1. So because of the 100% fungibility or correlation of the two, that just means that when A equals B, then everything applies to A, then applies to B. So the SEC will have to step in and take over the whole thing so they can regulate that.
And before I interrupted you, you were discussing another bullet point that I wanted to address, and that is that this is certainly advantageous for all the leagues, not just the NFL. It's a license to print money, or as you like to say, what is it, a shovel in a gold rush?
Yeah, we're the actual selling shovels in a gold rush.
The wolf line is, but the amount of gold that can be found seems limitless.
There have been empirical studies that came out recently that say that the increase in the consumption of the NFL and the rest of the leagues will increase. And I said this in previous shows quite a while ago, will increase up to the rate, meaning the ratings and everything that comes with it, up to 40% because of the legalization here of the sports speculation market. So that's a pretty big deal. They're making out. I don't want to hear them crying poor mouth and saying that, about the integrity. First of all, the integrity will be much easier to regulate than any other market because, as I've said before, everything's on video and it's all recorded. It's much easier to regulate something like that than, for example, a stock where news comes out over the weekend and then that nobody sees. It's behind closed doors, or the LIBOR, foreign exchange rate situation, or whatever you want to put into slot A. These markets will be much easier to regulate just simply because of that. So when they talk about the integrity of the game, well, that's not their business. It's the business of the federal regulation bodies that have this already figured out for 80 years, and they have much more robust electronic means of overseeing the integrity. And the leagues really need to stop thinking that they are so important. The leagues have no purview or no say in the matter of what they produce, whether or not a market is made on them, a free market based on buyers and sellers competing each other in a game, which financial markets are just a game of buyers versus sellers about their games. The Bureau of Labor Statistics puts out employment reports. Listed stocks on exchanges put out their quarterly earnings reports. These are all in the public domain, and it has nothing to do with them. Is somebody going to start, and they affect markets, obviously. So is somebody going to start charging the Bureau of Labor Statistics for releasing their employment reports? It's absurd.
We're speaking with Greg Wolf, thewolfline.com. Check it out. Subscribe. There's a number of different plans, right, Greg? There's a trial.
Yeah,
how does it work? How do we sign up?
Well, you go to thewolfline.com and it says sign up. It's very simple, right on the front page. Once you get on the front page and you read any of it, you're going to realize you're not in Kansas anymore, as I've said before. It's an entirely exclusive, proprietary type of product and business, whether it be theory or the application of the theory into the products. And you get a free week and to get your feet wet, and from there, it's $1 a day. Again, I mean, we make it so that it is never going to be the average person is never going to be priced out. We're demystifying the whole Wall Street thing, and we're taking Wall Street into your living room with your big screen TV or into the sports book or whatever, and you can be a quant sports trader just as easily as reading a traffic light. And I went through a lot of years of learning the other side of the business, from being a buy-side prop options trader and a registered investment advisor and everything else, educator, consult to hedge funds and all that, and then did all the work to conflate the sports markets down to the most esoteric option theory, and also to even the modes of corruption that are used to make them into a new financial trading market. And another thing you're going to see that we haven't talked about before is the exchange model, where it's a little different than the bookmaker model that the Americans are so used to. But eventually that's going to come over and be much more ubiquitous and common, simply because you're paying a lot less in transaction costs. And that, of course, everybody wins with that. And as the Wolf line increases volume because of the subjective interpretation there, the volume will bring down the margin costs, and then you get more volume, more people are even watching the games. the consumption increases, etc. And a study that actually came out, interest increases by, I think the number was about 60% in ratings if the games that are in question, if the point spread or if the total, we call that price and volatility, but that's down, you'll get that when you get on there. But the increase in ratings when those numbers are in play is up to 60%. So it's self-evident that, and everybody knows it. I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I know it, and certainly many other people know it. But it's not like they're hiding anything. Their leagues run on speculation, and regardless of the product they put out there, regardless of people kneeling and all this other stuff, it's really irrelevant because their leagues do not exist without speculation, and they only increase to the point of billions and billions of dollars with the implementation of now legal markets. Because the two things, Coos, are transparency and individual freedom, and that's what this offers. Have a totally transparent market and let people decide based upon market action with our products exactly when they want to enter into a position, and nobody tells them what to do. They make decisions on their own, and that's what runs markets.
The last time we had you on WPKN, we talked transparency. Greg Wolf, before I let you go, it is, by the way, kickoff Thursday, September 6th. It's an 8:20 kickoff, NBC, nationally syndicated from Philadelphia, right in your backyard. Tell us.
Here's the greatest part about it. You don't have to know a player. You don't have to know the injury. You don't have to know the weather. You don't have to know where they're playing, because that's all priced in via something called the efficient market hypothesis. But that's incomplete because it ignores behavioral economics. I've proven all that. So, you'll be seeing me, fortunately, unfortunately, I guess, when these things are concerned, because they're heavy economics issues. And I truly believe that in the scope of economics, this will be one of the most important things to happen from either an academic sense or just an ideological sense in the last 100 years.
Before I let you go, what is the next big thing? Let's say I check in with you during playoffs. What would you like to have happen? What milestone would you like to cross with the Wolf Line in the next couple of months?
Well, the Wolf Line is really a utility because we're completely sovereign and the only ones that are offering this type of thing. So, because of our patent protection globally and just the sheer uber proprietary nature of the theory and the platform, that at that point it's going to seep into the culture to where it's just going to be like, okay, do you have the Wolf Line? If you don't have the Wolf Line, if an execution broker isn't offering the Wolf Line, then why would I use that execution broker, meaning, a bookmaker or whether it's exchange or whatnot. But, you can't go on to, for example, any other brokerage platform and just have execution without an analytics side. It's peanut butter and jelly, and that's what it is right now. They're all peanut butter, and people are saying, where's the jelly? And the Wolf Line is saying, here's your jelly. And like I talked to before, the affordability factor is huge with us. And it's just a much more fun market. I've gone over that a million times. And the size of it is much larger. There's 33,000 globally traded sports assets that have markets made on them. But at that point, it'll just be, that's the type of thing that increases volume. And we talked about Bloomberg last time, and I think I misspoke. I said they charge $25,000 a month for their terminal fee, but it's $25,000 a year. I mean,
which is still obscene,
insane,
right?
Still obscene,
right?
And they have 350,000 members. Thomson Reuters is similar, and they have about 300,000 members. So we don't want to price anybody out. We're for the common man, and we're for educating the common man, giving them their individual freedom to do what they want in a free marketplace that you can trade in and out of however you want, and meanwhile having a pretty girl bringing beer and wings at the same time.
And again, sports is the perfect vehicle for that. Greg, let's touch base in a couple of months. But obviously, if anything else pops before then, you know where to reach us. And I'm going to share plenty of this with the listeners at WPKN in Bridgeport and out on Long Island.
I always love doing your show, Coos. And again, if anybody wants to check what I said and back test with when I said on your show or other shows or whatever, I not only talk about transparency in the markets, but I talk about my own transparency, and it's 100%. So I'm not blowing smoke anywhere with anybody. This is just how it is. You can see I'm very calm about it. I'm not surprised by any of it because I knew it was coming 10 years ago.
They can email you at thewolf@thewolfline.com.
I love emails. thewolf@thewolfline.com. Ask me whatever you want. Just try to keep it clean. I'm a little sensitive. So
this is nothing could be further from the truth, folks. Again, NFL kickoff is Thursday the 6th. Falcons at defending champion Eagles. Greg, thanks so much for your time.
Absolutely. Get on thewolfline.com and make a trade. Get long, get short. Volatility, price action, probability percentage, option, whatever you want to do. You're the expert, not me. You are the expert.